Welcome, everyone, to our Aging and Spirituality podcast. Our goal is to share with you how you can get better in touch with the real potential that's inside of you, what you really want and what you can express. And we hope that the things that we share are helpful. We'd love to hear from you about it. I'm Chris Jensen.
I'm Kathy Lee Taylor. Hello.
And we've got lots of stuff to share with you. Today, I want to talk about something: positive emotions, positive thinking equals positive, healthy aging. So I am not a science kind of person, but I have been so fascinated lately that the National Institute of Health has come along and it is showing scientifically the things that we have known in yoga for years because we've experienced it. Uh, but one of the major factors that ages our body, mind, and emotions is angst, stress, positive or negative stress. You have to remember that good things are sometimes stressful too, even though they're
Never
happy.
think of it that way.
I know. Someone just mentioned that to me today, and I thought, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. So why is it that some folks, as they age, are more anxious and some folks aren't, and they don't decline in emotional well-being? Fact, there are many people who are over 60 who experience an improvement in stress reduction and emotional well-being. So stay tuned to find out how maybe you can have a more harmonious life.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah, we all want that. Okay. So, National Institute of Health, they report that physical changes in the brain contribute to an increased angst in older people. And stress makes the problem worse because it can change the brain, the mood, decision makings. Cortisol levels increase with age. So here's some things, that contribute to it. And then I'm going to tell you the things that help. Cell loss, as some people age, some stem cells in the brain lose their ability to regenerate. Stress really impacts the brain, memory, mood, decision making. Worry, which is like stress, rumination, negative thoughts. Negative thoughts can be associated with greater brain age. So think about that when you're having any
Wow.
negative thought. Yeah,
Wow.
it's very scary.
Yeah,
However,
I never thought about it like that.
I know, but there's a change. There's a way to change that. So what can you do to be one of the folks whose well-being increases and angst decreases? Okay, so our autonomic nervous system has two aspects to it. The sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the body's fight or flight response, prepares us for physical activity or danger. And the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls breathing, digestion, heart rate, helps us stay calm and balanced rather than anxious and preparing for danger at the drop of a hat. Uh, most of the things that we fear and get anxious about don't really happen. I love to tell a joke that a psychologist told me many years ago. And he said, "Do you know the difference between a psychotic and a neurotic?" And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "Well, a psychotic believes the world's going to end tomorrow. A neurotic knows it's not, but they worry about it anyway." There you go.
Everybody's neurotic.
Yeah, they worry about it anyway. So there's a way we can shift that. I mean, if negative thoughts are aging our brain, think what positive thoughts can do. And that's a big factor. What do you do to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system? Not the fight or flight one, the sympathetic, but the calm and balanced one. So there are a lot of disciplines like yoga, meditation, mindfulness. They all help trigger the calming parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve, which controls them. But one of the big things that science and psychologists say to shift to the parasympathetic nervous system is having a positive emotion.
Wow.
A positive emotion. Now that sounds
Good.
easy, doesn't it? I mean,
That's crazy.
yeah, well, maybe not, but most people, especially in the age, often worried or concerned about health or the possibility of them. And yet, if there's a positive emotion, you're going to counteract all of that. So, uh, let's look at how we can create more positive emotions. Start by, okay, so think of a situation, a person in your life, and look at what emotion that brings up for you. If that emotion is angst or fear, then of course there's the 3-3-3 rule in psychology. Think of you just look around your environment, identify 3 objects, 3 sounds, and then 3 moving body parts. And that helps to get you out of the moment.
Do
Just
that again.
3 things, 3 objects, look around the room, 3
Okay.
sounds, if there's some
Okay.
sounds, and then move 3 body parts.
Okay.
And that tends to get you out of the moment. Then you don't have
Okay.
to. You might be able to skip over that, but that's one thing you can do. Then
Okay.
think of something or someone that makes you happy. Recall a happy moment in your life and try to give that positive attention, the positive emotion, some energy. And every time you do this, what you're doing, you're helping to create a more positive emotional mode. Uh, people can go through incredibly challenging times and have positive emotions about it. It's interesting. My childhood, uh, I always thought it was fine. I was pretty upbeat kid. And when I was getting a divorce, I went to see a marriage and family counselor, and she asked me about my childhood, and she said, "Boy, that's a challenging childhood."
You're like, really?
And the thing is, somehow, whether it was my mother or what, but for me, there was this positive momentum going on rather than the
It
challenge.
was who you are. It was
Yeah,
who you
yeah. I
are
mean,
helped.
I
Yeah.
mean, when you think about it, it's a pretty crazy childhood. I mean, we started out in New York. My father had asthma. We moved to Arizona. I think I was 2 or something. And when I was 6, my parents were getting divorced. In fact, my father was with another woman, and I was in the car with my mother and her friend's daughter. Well, we were looking to see where they were.
No.
Yeah. And then my mother and I left and moved back to New York, and my mother cut my father's face out of all the pictures. They're very mature. And then rebound, she got remarried very quickly. And
No,
this was a Southerner. So now we moved to Mississippi. We go to Alabama, which is very foreign to a kid who, you know, yeah. And then my sister was born there, and she was actually born in Alabama. And then we come back to New York because he's going to Europe for a job. And my mother doesn't think it's a good idea to take my sister and I there. And sure enough, a while later, she gets a letter from some woman he's seeing there. Uh, and so we travel back to Mississippi, and then we come back to New York. And now, so this is the second divorce my mother went through. And so,
wow.
yeah. And for me, the hardest thing was changing schools because I was always the new kid. And
Yeah.
so, but the very strange thing is somehow I felt this was off. I mean, it didn't
No
feel,
big deal.
yeah. I mean, I felt like I had a fine childhood. I had a very kind of upbeat outlook on life. And I can't say my mother had an upbeat outlook on life, so I got it from somewhere and I don't know where, but it reminds me, I share this because it reminds me that no matter what, you can create a positive emotion.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean being in denial about a situation. It means thinking the best, finding the best in someone. Someone bothers you, look for the best in that person, look for the best in the situation, practice gratitude, any of those things to create a positive emotion. You know, you feel, you're watching a movie and something touches your heart and you feel love, that's a great thing. That, love is an incredibly powerful emotion.
Yeah.
And even anger does not do as much damage as fear. Fear apparently is the worst in terms of stress and what it does to our brain. So anytime you're having a negative emotion, think, oh, I may be killing a brain cell. Let me think of something positive. Maybe you have to think of an ice cream cone. I don't know, whatever it is, but you can do it. You can shift to a positive thought.
Yeah.
And if, like, instead of dwelling on what's wrong, think, what would I rather have instead? What, if the situation is troubling in some way, what would I rather have instead? Put the positive energy there. I mean, I'm going to share with you some breathing practices that help trigger the parasympathetic nervous system to help get you into that really calm, positive place. But the big thing, the simple thing, is that anyone can do it. A positive emotion. I mean, it's in science and it's in all the psychological articles. Positive emotion helps to reduce stress. A positive emotion helps to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. Positive emotion helps to keep the brain younger.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think about people, who've had a lot of, earlier brain issues, and they're generally have been, when I think about it, people with a kind of negative approach to life. So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the only factor. There are many other factors. There's diet and there's, genetics and everything else, but positive emotion is going to help.
No
But I
doubt.
did wanted to share with you because recently in my pranayam class, I taught some pranayams that are very targeted to making the shift to the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you're feeling, you know, the fight or flight, or if you're feeling angst about doing anything, then try these. There's a sequence of 3 here, and you can just do one. We're going to do these 3. We're only going to do them twice, but you can do them 3 or 4 times. Whatever works is what you want to do to get you into that more calm place where it's easier to have positive emotions. So the first one is called the crow's breath, and it's kind of cute. You curl your tongue like like that. I have a short tongue, so you can see her tongue. It's supposed to stick out like that. My tongue doesn't stick out any further because it's short. So what you do is you curl your tongue like a straw and you inhale through your mouth, then you close your mouth, you hold your breath for a couple seconds, that's all. And then just feel like, lights moving to the top of your head and then down to your heart when you're holding your breath, and then exhale through your nose. And that's the crow's breath. So let's do 2 crow's breaths. Let's just see how we feel. So curl the tongue, inhale, close your mouth, retain your breath just briefly, just sensing lights moving to the top of the head, the heart. Exhale through your nose. Now let's try one more without me talking. See, already, do you feel a little bit more calm and positive?
Cooling. It feels cooling,
It's
kind
a
of.
cooling breath. It is,
Okay.
yeah, it is definitely a cooling breath. Uh, And the next one is called samavriti. All that means is you're inhaling and exhaling for the same count. So you choose a comfortable count. I said in anywhere from 4 to 10. Why don't we count 5? Inhale through our nose for 5 and exhale through our nose for 5. We'll do that twice. And then we're going to inhale through our nose for 5 and then exhale and bend forward as we exhale. But the first time we just sit straight up. So let's do that. So we'll do one together and then you do it by yourself. So we'll inhale 5 and exhale 5. One more. Now we're going to do the same thing, except we bend forward on the exhale. So inhale for 5, bend forward and exhale. And then sitting up, and we'll do it again. And bend forward and exhale. That one feels nice, doesn't it?
Calms the mind down.
Yeah, that's the idea. And now we're going to do a variation of alternate nostril breathing. So this is simple. We're going to close the right nostril with our thumb and inhale through the left. Then take our ring finger and pinky, close the left nostril and exhale right. Then inhale right. Close the right nostril and exhale left. Let's do that one more time. Inhale left. Close the left nostril, exhale right. Then inhale right. And exhale left. I bet you it's easier to be positive, right? That was the idea. So these are a few things that will help to get into that mode, but just keep in mind, every positive emotion is helping your brain.
That makes you feel so
Always,
good.
whenever you have a negative thought or feeling, just think, what would I rather have instead? And generally, you'll have some positive thought that will open up the heart.
Yep. It's like saying no to your like addictions. Like, no, I'm not going to smoke. No, I'm not going to drink. No, I'm not going to overeat. I'm going to choose to do this. I'm going to choose to be positive, change
Yeah,
my emotions, make
yeah,
that a habit.
yeah,
That's really good stuff.
yeah. So have fun with it and do it. That's the main thing. Do it.
Just do it.
Do it. All right.
Thank
So
you for
nice to see
coming.
all of you. Thank you for joining us.
See you next week.